Now let's bring this together this morning, and it's hard to kind of come together with this all together because many of us love the story, but we don't like the whole story, do we? I love the part of the Bible in the book of Psalms, right? Clay quoted the Psalms as he does so often. I love that. I like that better than take up your cross and follow me, right? I love the part of the Bible where Jesus feeds the 5,000. I don't quite like the parts of the Bible where Jesus calls us to purity. I like the parts of the Bible where I can see the beauty of God's work. I don't like the parts of the Bible where God is a judge, right? Are you like that too? Are there parts of the Bible you like better, parts of the story you like better? Of course, there's all of us. But we need to be careful not to take out parts of the Bible and parts of the story, as we are apt to do. Because when we do, then we put other stories into our story. So I have up here some spokes. Do you see these? What do you use spokes for? A bicycle. I got bicycle riders in here. I love bikes. I love bicycles, not motorcycles. Some of you like I like bicycles. I ride my bicycle all the time. I exercise. I love it. We live in Florida. It's flat. It's easy. It's enjoyable. You can see these things. Have you ever seen a real bike race like the Tour de France? We have a friend here who has a home in France, and she knows the Tour de France. Have you ever seen a bike that the Tour de France uses, the people in that, or a bike race? These bikes cost more than cars. It is the most, I don't have one of those, of course. These expensive bikes that cost more than $10,000 or more. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. And the most important part of a bicycle is the spokes, or are the spokes. These things. Do you know how much these cost? Pennies. On a $10,000 bike, they're pennies. They bend. They're thinner than a coat hanger. Yet when they are webbed together, they can carry a biker 20, 25 miles an hour and more with these racers down a road. How does it work? Well, they take about 16 to 30 of these. They web them together between a wheel and a hub, and they put them together. And then you go, Bill, I know all this, but this is important. There's a braking system. So the wheel goes like this, right? And then when you want to stop, you brake. Pretty easy, isn't it? But what you have to do is make sure these are tightened properly. There's 30 of them, let's say on a certain bike. 30 of these that weigh, they don't even weigh a couple ounces for all 30. I have them here in my hand. And they bend, I could bend them apart. If one of them breaks while you're riding 100 revolutions a minute through that fork that is the brake, one breaks, just one. This one breaks. I have 29 good ones. You can no longer ride the bike, but half of the speed. Why? Because the wheel starts to wobble. Have you ever had a wobbly wheel? Right? And when it's going through, it rubs against the rubber pad of the brake, right? It just goes like this. Now, doing that 100 times a minute, you're going to go a lot slower. So you're going from 20 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour. You take two spokes out, and I've had this happen where they pop or they break or they get loose. The bike becomes immobile. You cannot move the wheel. Is that amazing? You can go, I got 28 very well-tightened, properly tuned spokes. I have two that aren't, and the entire bike is stopped. It is immobile. You cannot move it unless you pick it up and walk it. Why? Because all 30 spokes have to be together. But we as Christians and other people, we love to take the story of God and the story of the Bible, and we love to take it and go, you know what, I agree with 28%, what's 28 out of 30? I mean, that's, 95% or whatever it is. I agree with all that, but I don't agree with this. And you know what? Then our lives start slowing down, and then we take one more piece out, and it stops. And we go, where is God now? You see, we've lost our understanding of God, but I believe it's because we don't have a full understanding of who he is. Here's the thing. You got to take it all, or just don't take any of it. You got to take it all. You got to take the good, the bad, the perceived bad. You got to take, like in a wedding, for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse, for sickness and in health. You got to take the whole thing in your relationship to God, because if you start pulling it out, I used to do a lot of marriage counseling, and people would say, well, it's okay to have premarital sex. We love each other. Okay, let's pull that one out. I hate to tell you, God is pretty clear on sexuality. This is not something you can guess. Well, let's pull that one out. And you know what? I don't really always love my neighbor as myself. I love my family as myself. I love myself as myself, but I don't really want to love everybody as myself. Let's pull that one out. Which one are you pulling out? Mark Twain, who was not the most godly guy in our history, said these words: "It's not the part of the Bible I don't understand that bothers me. It's the parts of the Bible I do understand that bother me." So you could get caught and go, I just don't know why God did that. You're right, I don't either. And you could be stuck sitting on the side of the road and going, why? Or you can say, by faith, I believe God has my best interest at hand, and I accept him. And when that is the case, any biker will tell you, when these 28 spokes, or 30 spokes rather, these 30 spokes are tuned up, do you know what it's called? Does anybody know what it's called when you tune a bike up? True. You don't tune a bike, you true a bike. It's interesting. It is true. When you believe it in its entirety, it is true. And you can move forward in your faith.